Greetings and welcome to Planet Vrilock, your psionics digerati podcast, hosted by Herr Doktor von Vrilock. Speaking, is the occult sinister or is it enlightening? For beginners of the mysterious and occult, I ask you that question. Is the occult sinister or enlightening? And I answer my own question here by stating that the occult is neither sinister or enlightening. Think of the arcane sciences as more of a library of study. We begin with the principal study of metaphysics, which is the foundation upon which the rest of human mystical reasoning is based upon. At this level, we learn about the condition of mind, our perceptions, and gradually move into the realm of subtle manifestations such as the human aura. This first quest we embark upon precedes the discovery of human extraordinary talents, aka ESP, such as clairvoyance, precognition, telepathy, psychokinesis, and the other innate abilities of human beings. From here, the student, or the neophyte, may select the various electives to pursue on his own or her own, but ultimately the journey into enlightenment will be your own. You own your experiences, lords and ladies. I've said this before. Therefore, the occult, this most wonderful turning point in Western thought, is rather the stepping stones or the training wheels to get you thinking independently as individuals and as well recognizing your relationship to your environment, physics, metaphysics, and spiritual psychology. In contrast to the arcane teachings, aka often referred to in our contemporary times as the occult, Hollywood has painted a rather sinister and evil picture of all that is the occult. Vampirism and the undead have little to do with Eastern philosophies of Asia and India. Ergo, there are tribal shaman and sorcerers in Central and South America, as well as Africa, who do practice the voodoo arts and some of the darker arts of sorcery, which may have had an influence on some schools of magic. But moreover, there is a legitimate front against the occult stemming from the monotheistic traditions, primarily because certain controlling conditions exist within the various monotheistic religions. Control mechanisms ranging from how we live our lives, fit into our communities, right down to how a person is dressed, and whether or not an individual may or may not consume alcohol, the use of contraceptives, and the various types of food that an individual and his or her family may consume. These remain true today. The occult comes from the arrival, as a matter of course, from Hermes or Thoth in Egypt, and has its roots tracing back to back to Greece, I should say. We also have another branch of the occult, like reasoning type of philosophy from the Norse or Northern magical system, which is often associated with the Germanic heathens, or the Danes, and the Icelandic shaman and sorceresses, and the ancient, perhaps forgotten, Erulians, who preceded the European bloodlines, all of which is arguable, rather much like the chicken and the egg analogy. Suffice it is to say here, the human experience, and indeed the human condition, is not foreign to anything metaphysical. Far from it. Rather, the realization and exploration of the metaphysical has been discouraged by the various controllers in many societies, and perhaps through the various stages of our civilization, imposed by our rulers, emperors, kings, and queens. One of the biggest changes in Earth history, lords and ladies, happened around the time of Emperor Charlemagne, who was known as Rome's first holy emperor, and he whom proceeded to slaughter the heathens known at the time as the Anglo-Saxons. The Anglo-Saxons were then converted to Christianity by their king, who kneeled before Charlemagne. Christianity, of course, celebrates this as a big victory, although history, as a consequence of these warlike activities, also loses some ancestral knowledge and the wisdom of its old magicians, our seers, and our ancestral shaman. Today we live in much of the same control system under the guise of free will. However, the world we inherited today, while missing many chapters in untold history, is a contemporary oasis. And it is an oasis away from the horrors of ancient brutality inscribed across scrolls rolling back the curtain of the centuries. With today's modern marvels of technology, we live in a relative luxury, really, despite the atrocities of bureaucracy and politics. Wrapping up our chat, though, this evening, I'm going to have to say I believe that the question of whether the occult is sinister or enlightening is truly an individual's perception of what is actually reality. So reality itself is spilled open by the ever-penetrating sciences of quantum mechanics and metaphysics, each of which is armed with an intellectual and academic scalpel, allowing for the human conscious mind and our computers to peer into the fabric of what we might very well be a simulated reality after all. So, the late author Philip K. Dick deserves a pat on the back. Having said this, it is important for the individual to make use of what insights are discovered, and then, of course, press the advantages that the unraveled mysteries present to his or her mind. That means you. The game of life does not cease to exist just because we've peeled back a layer of reality, looked under the hood, and discovered the mechanics of the gods. With this wisdom clearly evident, I invite you to reap the benefits of this knowledge and train yourself at your own leisure, of course, in the Vrilock Insiders Club. Go to vrilock.club and keep the magic high. Thank you for joining me this evening, lords and ladies. Herr Doktor von Vrilock, signing off.